The trade of Luka Doncic to the Lakers has sent shockwaves all throughout the NBA, and this left fans in Dallas in a permanent state of disbelief, concern for the team, and just wondering, where do you go from here? You see, the trade of Luka Doncic isn't just a regular trade. This is probably the craziest trade I have seen in my entire years of watching basketball. There has never been a time in the NBA where a player like Luka Doncic was legitimately traded. Not only was he traded, it seems like he was traded for no reason at all. Yes, there are things coming out talking about his weight, conditioning, things of that sort, but let's be honest. Luka Doncic led the Mavericks to the finals the past season, and he led them to the conference finals 2 times. So how could you trade someone like that away? It can't just be conditioning, can't just be certain issues you may have with him on the court. Luka Doncic, and the production he's giving you is stuff that we don't see, especially not from players at his age. For the past 6 years in Dallas, Luka Doncic served as the heart and soul for not only the Dallas Mavericks, but the Dallas community as a whole. Luka wasn't just some regular player that you drafted and he's okay. No. Luka was transcendent, and he was the perfect person to lead the Mavericks in a purse, dirt, and a whiskey era. And that's exactly what he did. Ever since 2016, he has performed at the highest level throughout his entire career. He's had 5 All-NBA appearances, he's been an All-Star multiple times in his career, and he's led the Dallas Mavericks to heights that they really hadn't seen since Dirk left. Now, I'm sure everybody doesn't need the breakdown of what Dallas just lost, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. Luka was a 32-point per game scorer who averaged 9 rebounds and 8 assists last year and led the Mavericks to a finals appearance. The first finals appearance since 2011. And they just traded that away for not pennies on the dollar, but definitely not what you could have gotten for. Now, it has come out that the Mavericks did offer Luka Doncic up for Anthony Davis and for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but those trades fell through, which is understandable from those team perspective. If you're a Minnesota Timberwolves, I don't know why you want to give up Ant for Luka Doncic, but I guess Ant is kind of your darling. He fits more so with that team. Now, for the Milwaukee Bucks, it makes sense as well because you already have a Giannis. You might be scared that Luka isn't going to resign because you don't even know if Giannis is going to resign in the future, especially with the current state of the team. But dealing him to the Lakers and not even mentioning him to any of the other 28, 27 franchises in the NBA is quite insane, especially when you consider the trade package you got. Now, this trade package has been kind of controversial ever since it broke. The Mavericks got Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. And this isn't the worst trade package in the world when you look at it through the lens of who they got. But when you take into account what they gave up, it kind of makes sense. Now, players like Anthony Davis, Max Christie, they've been good, and they've been good for the Lakers so far this season. But that really isn't the issue that everyone has with this trade. The fact that you gave up Luka Doncic, and when you put in perspective the type of player that Anthony Davis is, which is who Dallas was really banking on being the centerpiece for them in this trade, kind of makes this trade sound even worse. Anthony Davis is yet another player. I don't have to go into detail about what he is and what he brings to the team. First overall pick, multiple-time All-NBA first team, multiple-time All-Star, MVP candidate, arguable top 5 player, definitely a top 10 player in the NBA. Everybody knows this. Max Christie, he's a young player, but he's been pretty impactful for the Lakers this season, and he's been doing the same thing for the Mavericks so far. But it's a multitude of reasons outside of that as to why this was a bad trade. The first one being age and longevity. Max Christie, he's young. We understand what he brings to the team. But Anthony Davis is old. And somebody who is 31, you can't really talk age and longevity with them, especially when that same 31-year-old has struggled with injuries his entire career. Specifically this season. You talk about defense, and you talk about the future of your team and what can happen, but Anthony Davis is 31, so you kind of have to mark out the future because max you have like 3 or 4 years of Anthony Davis performing near the level that he's performing now. And then we were talking about longevity. Anthony Davis gets injured often. He just got injured in his first game for the Mavericks, and he's going to be out for a month. Versus a player like Luka, who hasn't really struggled with injuries until this year, and even then, Luka's a better player than Anthony Davis. So why would you even give up Luka for these reasons, because these reasons don't even make sense. On top of that, when you bring in the context that you don't even have another young star and you didn't get nearly the type of package that you could have gotten in return for Luka, it makes things even worse. Especially, let's mark out the Bucks and the Timberwolves. You still have other great young players around the league, like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like a LaMelo Ball, just all of these different players throughout the league who I'm sure teams would have had no problem giving up for a talent like Luka Doncic. If you was that fed up with Luka, okay, cool, I understand it, but not all the way. But at least get something back from that is worthwhile. Especially when we look at trade packages for other players like a Mikal Bridges, like a Kevin Durant, like a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like a Paul George. The type of trade packages that teams got back for those type of players doesn't make any sense as to why the Mavs didn't get nearly that type of return for Luka. And as more information comes out about the trade, it makes the Mavericks seem even worse, especially when this recent quote from the governor of the Mavericks was dropped to social media.
And if you look at the greats in the league, the people you and I grew up with, Jordan, Bird, Magic, Kobe, Shaq, they worked really hard every day with a singular focus to win. And if you don't have that, then it doesn't work.
And this is just really embarrassing. It honestly and truthfully seems like the Mavericks had no idea what they're doing, or there's some conspiracy theory that we don't know about. We know that the Mavericks were, and some of the other people in Dallas have been talking about possibly adding a casino and some other big things into Dallas alongside that stadium. So it's possible that with Luka coming up for one of the biggest contract extensions in NBA history, it makes sense as to why they didn't want to pay him if that's what their priority is. But with that being your priority, you lost your entire fan base. You have fans sitting up here screaming, fire Nico, bring Luka back, holding up signs at games, booing your owner, booing players that have nothing to do with this. Kyrie Irving went to the free throw line a couple games ago and he was booed. He has nothing to do with this. He didn't even have a say-so in Luka being traded. And it's just a bad look, especially when you consider the fact that Jason Kidd immediately missed a post-game press conference. That's not normal either. The damage that this trade has caused to Dallas is pretty bad, and it almost seems like for Nico Harrison, it's irreparable. It's no way that Nico Harrison could get back in good spirits with Dallas. I mean, of course, I even thought about what if the Mavericks do sit up here and win a championship this season, which highly unlikely, especially considering what just happened with AD. Even if they win a championship, it's like, yeah, you won a championship, that is phenomenal. And to some fans, they might accept that. They might be like, okay, we gave up Luka, but at the end of the day, we did get a championship. But you still gave up Luka Doncic. And in 3-4 years, when you're looking back on it, no matter how Luka is playing for the Lakers, which I'm sure he'll be playing pretty good because it's Luka Doncic, you still are going to reminisce on how this trade didn't nearly give you the longevity that Luka would have gave. Like I said, Luka had led the Mavericks to the conference finals twice, and he led them to the finals one time, and it was a matchup where they were just clearly outmatched. Who knows, with a couple more seasons, you make some moves, you put some more pieces around them, what they could have been. And that's why this wasn't just a trade. This was a franchise-altering trade, and this is why the sky is falling in Dallas. The fan base seems out on the team. The head coach seems out on the team as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's other players in that locker room that aren't really so sold on the future of Dallas and might be looking to take their talents elsewhere, because this move is horrible. What we've been hearing from the upper execs, the front office, has been even worse. And although it remains to be seen how this trade will play out, so far it's not looking good. Especially seeing how Luka looked in his debut, how the Lakers are looking after this Luka trade, and how the Mavericks looked in this first game. Now the Mavericks did not look bad. They didn't look bad at all. Max Christie looked good, and Davis looked good, but Anthony Davis gets injured. He's gonna be out for a month. And a team that was already fighting for a playing spot, that haven't been playing well this season, looks like they might be squarely out of the playoff race this season. But who knows? So unless Anthony Davis defies the odds and becomes the most healthiest player in the league, or unless Max Christie turns into a player that nobody sees him becoming, this trade is going to continue to look bad, and it's just going to look worse and worse each passing day. The front office lost the trust in the fan base that you can never get back, lost the trust in your players and your head coach that you are never going to get back. For whatever reason that you did it, it still doesn't justify trading Luka Doncic. But that's just my opinion on the whole thing. Mavs fans, let me know how you feel in the comments. NBA fans, let me know how you feel in the comments about this trade. What's your reaction? And how do you see the future of Dallas panning out? If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave it a like. Make sure you comment down below some of your opinions. And make sure you give a subscription. I'm making videos like this all the time. But that's all I have for now. Till next time, peace.